Back to the Friday afternoon edition of Upfront here on ENCA. The auction of Bosasa's assets wraps up in Krugersdorp today, where auctioneers have already surpassed their targeted income. Bosasa's fleet of vehicles, smart campus, the Lindela Repatriation Center and other assets were sold off as part of the liquidation of the company. This is despite a court bid to interdict the auction by Jared Watson, the nephew of the late Bosasa CEO Gavin Watson. The money raised during the auction is meant to pay off Bosasa's staggering debts. Well, ENCA's Govan Whittles has been following this story, and he joins me now in studio to break down the numbers. Govan, there was a target to all of this. There was a specific amount of money they wanted to raise from these auctions. What was that figure, and have they met it?
Well, the amount was 65 million rand, Tulasizwe, and it was based on the worth of the Bosasa assets as determined by the liquidators. Now, this has been a long process coming since that first voluntary liquidation by Bosasa's board of directors. And at that time, the Master of the High Court appointed Kluter Murray as the liquidator, and he embarked on a process of reviewing what the company has and about how much he thinks he can get for them. And he set the worth at 75 million, but as you can see, 70 million was the target that they wanted, just 5 million more than the 65. One could say that's a bit conservative, but nevertheless, they passed that with flying colors. And the first, of course, was the cars.
So their target was 65. They've already made 70 million.
Their target was 70 million, but 65 was the worth of the assets. Right. So they just set it 5 million beyond the 65, which they believed that it was worth. And speaking at the auctioneers, they said it was quite a conservative target, right, as they believed that they could get more. But of course, the point of an auction is selling things that you don't think you would be able to get market price for.
Yeah.
But they surpassed that.
Let's talk about that then. Talk to me about some of the assets that they were selling, the furniture as well as the vehicles.
Right, let's begin now with the furniture and the vehicles. You mentioned them there. So this involves a fleet of vehicles, most of them Toyotas, but it also involves some high-end cars such as the BMW, the Mercedes-Benz, and that BMW sold for 600,000 Rand, and the Mercedes-Benz just below 400,000 Rand. But the fleet in its entirety, these Toyota Buckys, Avanzas, the trucks, the Corollas that we see the Ubers using, all of those sold collectively for about 5 million Rand. And that is what they wanted to achieve for it, so all good on that front.
What about the Porsche though, Govan?
Yeah, well, the Porsche is the main one that people were talking about, and they thought they would get a bit more, but that one sold for 500,000 Rand.
That's
half a mil. It is a bargain, according to the new buyer. He says he doesn't think that people will know it was Gavin Watson's car, and he's buying it for the collector's value. It had about 90,000 on the clock, 90,000 kilometers, and still a bargain at that price though.
It still is. I mean, for a Porsche, it really is. But here's something that not many people would have thought you can sell off. The smart campus. Naturally, that's property. But also, the thing I'm talking about that, not many people thought about the value thereof is Lindela Repatriation Center. What happened with those?
Let's begin with the smart campus. Now, before I show you, this is the campus which is completely cordoned off, and it has high-tech security. And when they eventually put it on auction, Tulasizwe, they managed to get 16 million Rand for that Bosasa smart campus. It's got a number of different properties, and it was bought by the Fidelity Security Group. Look, they thought that they would get around 14 million for it, but they ended up getting a little bit more.
Getting more?
Yeah.
So it's worth something, and it's bought by Fidelity Security. That's interesting.
A very interesting purchase, considering that Fidelity had moved their headquarters from Midrand to Florida. Now they're moving further to the West Rand. And I had a chance to look through the campus. For the first time, we were granted a free pass to move around the campus. And I must say that it is a location that's perfect for a security company, because it has all sorts of high-tech security, but it also has the value of being secluded. And the previous owners, Gavin Watson, clearly had the ability to monitor who was coming to and from the campus and keep an eye on every part of the campus because of the high-tech security.
Lindela Repatriation Center, a place that, serves a function for our government and has previously been, subject of much infamy and controversy. How much did that go for?
Well, the Lindela Repatriation Center going for a cool 60 million Rand. That's the biggest price that fetched at the auction. And this is why, Thulasizwe, because the Lindela Repatriation Center is not only well maintained, but it's purpose built. That means it was built to house these refugees and other people, foreign nationals in South Africa that would be taken back to their home countries. And it's retained the contract with the Department of Home Affairs since it was built. And I asked the auctioneers why it went for that price. They say it's because of the investment opportunity and potential. So whoever bought this Lindela campus or Lindela Repatriation Center didn't want to disclose who they were, but they are now in negotiations with the Department of Home Affairs to continue the leasing of the property so that they can continue making money off of it.
That's a great buy, I'd say. All right, Govan, we are completely out of time, but just quickly show us the debt to SARS.
The last slide that I wanted to show you there was SARS's bill towards Bosasa. It's 500 million rand, and they revealed this in the court papers this week. So even though they sold Lindela for 60 million, clearly still a lot more money
to make up. More needed to cover, at the very least, what they owe SARS. That is ENCA's Govan Whittles.